11 runs, baby. How's it going? The New York Mets win game 3 of a 4-game set against the St. Louis Cardinals. Guys, thank you all so much for chiming in live or on replay here for the latest post-game show on WardyNYM. What a massive victory for the New York Mets. A huge bounce-back victory after just falling short last night in their doubleheader to sweep that doubleheader, losing 4-3. No less, they bounce back and add insurance runs like no tomorrow. The Mets did so many things that I was preaching that I would hope that we would see from them today and really over the past couple of days, and they finally did just that. They broke out with the offense. They took advantage of the opportunities given to them, and they never looked back for the most part. Guys, I'm so pumped up. I hope you all are too. We have so much to deep dive from this Mets victory, winning again 11-4 over the St. Louis Cardinals. What an impressive game. Max Scherzer left the game, of course, in the 6th or 7th with an injury. It looks like he'll be okay from what we've seen. Some side soreness. I mean, regarding his left side, it probably is oblique. As long as it's nothing too serious, Max will be okay. I know that's what we were all worried about in the game, but hopefully Max will get his imaging MRI done tomorrow, and we won't have to worry. It's not his arm or anything like that, which is a great sign. So hopefully, again, nothing serious with his oblique. But no less, folks, I want to know how everyone's feeling. Thank you again to everybody first chiming in, and my 200-plus viewers. You know the drill by now. Make sure to smash out like and subscribe on. As always, folks, we'll be deep diving everything that you need to possibly need to know about this game and this 11-4 Mets victory. So many positives as well that we'll be breaking down. Again, appreciate all you guys first chiming in. Help us get to 100 likes as mentioned. Again, help us get to 16K subs for the next short-term goal here on WardyNYM. But guys, so much transpired in this game. I mean, it felt like that this game was in part not necessarily separate games, but there were a lot of twists and turns. The same way that there were a lot of twists and turns and the Mets lost yesterday 4-3 to the Cardinals. This time it was in their favor. The second time then the Mets scored a bunch of runs against this Cards team like they did in the series opener that we saw there. And of course, just overall, the Mets have done really well against the Cardinals so far this season. They thus far, through 3 games in this series and through 3 games in the last, they've won 4 of those 3 out of the 6 games. And the Mets are looking for the series victory tomorrow with Chris Bassett on the bump for the series finale. But guys, enough of me talking. Let's break down this game. And Colin Holderman did pitch today, yes. Again, appreciate everyone chiming in, my members, my live viewers, and of course people on replay. But what a crazy game for the New York Mets. Thankfully, again, more things often than not went in their favor. And the offense started early for the Amazons, led, of course, pitching-wise by Max Scherzer. Max didn't have his best start, but he surely kept the Mets in it. Only gave up 1 earned run, 2 runs total because Eduardo Escobar had a throwing error in the second. That'll be getting to in a second. But Scherzer over 5.2 innings, had 7 hits, 1 earned run, 0 walks, 4 strikeouts on 87 pitches. Left the game due to injury, of course. Max said, I'm done. I can't pitch anymore. Some side tightness, whatever's going on there. Again, hopefully it's nothing serious. But the Mets offense broke out early in this one, as they've been doing in every single game. But the beauty about it is that the Mets didn't stop putting the gas in that thing and actually pulling through and getting themselves consistent runs based on the inning by inning basis. They didn't have any real true significant stretches in this one where they weren't taking advantage of having a couple guys on base, which was awesome to see. The Mets were on base machines as they have been every single game this season, but specifically in this one, starting out in the first inning, Brandon Nimmo, who was in today's lineup after looking like he might be away from the Mets for at least a couple days after hitting a ball off his knee yesterday, comes back today, and he was a focal point of this Mets offense. Huge starting out, got a leadoff walk. Then Mark Canha got a base hit. Pete Alonso got a hit by pitch early on. Alonso and the Cardinals getting hit. It sounds like a day that ends in Y, unfortunately. Jeff McNeil with a 2 RBI single. Then McNeil picking right up where he left off yesterday. He was my number 1 star for the Mets yesterday. Went 3 for 8 and had a bunch of RBIs. And today, again, 2 RBIs for McNeil in that first inning with less than 2 outs. So it was great to see the Mets take advantage of having multiple guys on early on. And then when we got to the second inning for the Mets, Eduardo Escobar had the throwing error. Of course, back-to-back games where he essentially had a throwing error. This one was a lot more significant, in my opinion, than the one last night, because the one last night, I will say again, I think O'Neill would have been safe on first, regardless on if he got the throw out on time or not. But no less, a throwing error by Escobar. Then, yes, Albert Pujols. Yes, quite literally Pujols dominated against Scherzer today. Had 2 hits off him. The first one, unfortunately, was opposite field, 2 RBI single to tie the game. So it didn't last long for the Mets and the Cardinals in this one, at least, as to holding leads. But thankfully, the Mets would tack on plenty more, because after Pujols tied the game there, we get to the 3rd inning, and the Mets had Canna got drilled in the ribs, which was really frustrating. And this was against a Jordan Hicks, who was on the bump tonight for the Cardinals, a Cardinals pitcher who is known for being a reliever, can throw gas, can hit 100, but they're trying to stretch him into a starter, and he's really erratic on the mound. We saw many times tonight where he was close to hitting guys, and then he hit guys, and Canna was not happy with getting drilled in the ribs, and then both sides were given warnings, which I just thought was ridiculous. The Mets did nothing wrong. This was all on the Cardinals. The Cardinals have hit the Mets 8 times already this season, folks. Yes, you heard that correctly, 8 effing times. 5 times in the first series in the end of April, and already 3 in this one, including 3 hit by pitches specifically today. But as we go forward, folks, Cannon gets drilled in the ribs. Lindor walks. Unfortunately, though, Alonso McNeil popped up, and then Escobar striked out. So they weren't able to score after having a couple on with no out there in the 3rd, but thankfully they would make up for it in the later innings. As we get to the 5th inning, then speaking of Mark Canna, again, Canna had a phenomenal day at the plate, as did so many Mets hitters, right? I mean, if you just look at Wardy's top 5 here, so many Mets were contributing offensively today, between getting on base, not just by hit by pitches, but by walks, singles, and of course the home run that we saw laying this one by Big Me Pete, baby. But getting the 5th inning again, Canna with the walk. Lindor hit by pitch this time, which was on a curveball, though. Hit him in the back. He's okay, thankfully. Alonso with an RBI single. Pete, who went 0 for 11 over the past couple at-bats from today's game, and not getting one hit in the doubleheader yesterday. I believe he went 0 for 9 yesterday. No less today, at least, was able to get that RBI single, and it wouldn't be his last RBI, obviously. Jeff McNeil got a single right after him. Eduardo Escobar with a really strong out, a sac fly RBI to increase the Mets' lead there. And then Dom with an oppo RBI single. Dom, who's looked really good and locked in at the plate over the past 24 hours from yesterday, had himself a couple RBIs and tacked on another today. And then Luis Guillorme with an RBI squeeze bunt, a sacrifice squeeze. Huge credit to Buck, because you knew that was coming right from the coaching staff and the bench. Right away, Guillorme puts that down the first baseline. The run scores, and the Mets have a multi-run lead there, and they don't look back, thankfully, because then as we get to the 6th, Mark Canna again. Canna misses a catch, unfortunately, but throws out Nolan Arenado there in the top of the 6th. Canna, who's not known for playing in right field a lot, had him there in that spot. It was a little bit of one that dropped shorter than he would have liked. Still drilled out Arenado, trying to get to second. Scherzer then exited the game at that point, of course, because of the side issue. Again, fingers crossed, as pardon me, can't even speak right now. His MRI will be okay, and I apologize if I'm jumping over my words right now, guys. I'm very excited, especially when the Mets win by a total of 11-4. When you quite literally score 7 runs more than the opposing team, that's definitely a good sign, in my opinion. But then, of course, in the 8th inning, the Cardinals trying to have some last-minute life. You get a 2-run bomb. Yes, that is, of course, from Nolan Arenado. Start off, Paul Goldschmidt got his first hit of the day opposite field, and then Arenado just had a no-doubt piss missile to left field. But that didn't stop the Mets from adding insurance runs. It was a 6-4 ball game at that point. But then in the bottom of the 8th, Luis Guillorme with a single to lead things off. Brandon Nimmo with an RBI opposite field triple, no less. The man who, again, had a sore knee, not stopping him from bolting down the line, rounding first, second, getting the third with ease for the Mets with that RBI to make it at that point a 3-run game. Then Mark Canna, an RBI single to the left side to add on to the lead. And then Pete Alonso puts the icing on the cake. The dead end balls cannot stop Pete tonight, thankfully. He gets a 3-run bomb, no doubter, dead center right around there, just phenomenal by Alonso. And at that point, the Mets got their 11-4 lead. Colin Holderman closed it out after Adam Ottavino had a beautiful outing, 1.1 scoreless innings, and had himself 2 strikeouts. Seth Lugo did give up that bomb there in the 8th. Unfortunately, he didn't have a good outing, and Lugo has been a problem with the home run ball. We saw in the Mariners series when he gave up the game-tying home run to Winker. We saw it again now tonight, so he still has to get himself controlled and figure it out, but I do still have faith in Lugo to a certain extent. And Holderman getting his second, I believe, outing for the Mets so far this season. 2 strikeouts, only had a walk in the non-save situation for the Mets. And the Mets, again, ended up winning this one 11-4. So, guys, I want to know how everyone's feeling right now. Let me know in the chat. This was an electric win for the New York Mets. The fact that they faced the adversity that they did and were able, again, get the runs early. They've been doing that, it feels like, every single game for at least the past 2 weeks, it almost feels like. They've been getting early offense, but the biggest gripe that we discussed, especially in last night's post-game show, is the fact that they aren't doing anything outside the first couple innings, and they wait until it's basically now or never in the 8th and 9th inning. And the Mets have been great and resilient, but I want to see them execute with bases loaded less than 2. The Mets have those opportunities tonight, and the biggest difference was the fact that they actually executed, finally brought in those runs, hit for opposite field. This is the Mets team that we have been dying to see more of, that we haven't seen too much of on a consistent level here in May. We saw a lot of it in April, and we're starting to see it again here. Hopefully they can get the series victory tomorrow. I'm loving the chances with Chris Bassett, Seabass on the mound that we love to call him. I'm just so pumped up, so happy. The Mets are now 11 games above 500. And again, they're looking to take 3 or 4 tomorrow with Bassett on the mound. So folks, I'll be answering all your comments, questions, and concerns real soon. I would like to address one more, though, that again, it is unfortunate that Max Scherzer did leave the game with injury because he's a Bulldog. He is the guy that always wants to stay on the mound. You normally can't take him off the mound. And if you're the manager, you don't want to have that conversation because Max is always going to be stubborn. He's literally like a pit bull out there. But when he says right away after throwing that slider there in the 6th that, yeah, I'm done, I can't throw anymore, he said, yeah, I'm tight here. And that's really what you saw. So thankfully, it's not his arm, it's not his shoulder, it's not anything like that. It's not even his hammy. As long as it's nothing too significant with his oblique and maybe just tightened up, cramped up, he should be okay. So fingers crossed, we'll be praying on it tonight. But no less, a massive and truly tremendous victory for the New York Mets. And as we get in Wardy's top 5 right now, folks, let's deep dive it, baby. As we just broke down the numbers, Pete Alonso is the number 1 star tonight. 2 for 4 with the home run, 4 RBIs, 2 runs scored. Jeff McNeil, 2 for 5 with 2 RBIs and a run scored. Jeff has been the story of this series. I told you guys, Jeff, along with Alonso, are 2 or 3 guys to watch in this series from an offensive standpoint, and they have both showed out. McNeil has been consistent this entire series. Alonso wasn't until today, but again, he made up for it when you get 4 RBIs. Yeah, it's safe to say it doesn't matter that you didn't get a hit in the doubleheader yesterday. Then my number 3 star, I'm going to go with Mark Canha because Canha was all over the place. Canha in total had himself a walk, a hit by pitch. He got on base 4 times today, as did Francisco Lindor. Lindor didn't crack my top 5, but Lindor had a good day as well. 1 for 2 with 2 runs scored, great base running, 2 walks, and a hit by pitch. So Lindor, like Canha, got on base a boatload today, and that automatically helped the Mets get these consistent runs. And then my number 4 star, Brandon Nimmo, when you have that 1 for 4 with the triple, the RBI, the 2 runs scored, how do you not have him in the top 5, folks? Yorme 1 for 3 with the RBI as well. That's awesome to see because of that sack bump that he had. Dom Smith went 1 for 3 today as well. Had himself an RBI. Just missed my Warriors top 5, but again, you could rightfully argue that maybe you want him in there over someone else. I'm not going to complain. I just know that when the Mets score 11 runs, thankfully I have more guys that I can pick from than even what I can fit here in the top 5. So that is definitely a positive. I'm seeing some people talk about the oblique. I know that you guys are being very cautiously happy and optimistic right now. I understand that. Don't get me wrong. Obliques are no joke. Lindor hurt his oblique last year, and that was the demise of the Mets season, along with Jacob deGrom going down not long before that. So let's see how the oblique looks tomorrow. Hopefully the MRI comes back clean, but until we know the actual results, I'm going to be cautiously optimistic. I'm going to be happy still. I'm definitely going to be enjoying this Mets win until otherwise. Truly, this was a big win for the Mets. Absolutely love to see it. For them, again, to only score 6 runs in the 2 games of the doubleheader yesterday, to then come back today and score 11 on a Cardinals team that is one of the best teams in the NL this year. Let's not get it twisted. Yet the Mets have won 4 of 6 array against them so far this year. And really, they should have won both yesterday. So if we're basing things on what they should have done, they just beat themselves. You could even say that they really should be 5 of 6 against the Cardinals array this year. So that just tells you about this team. This offense is damn good. They get their opportunities. They're on-base kings. I'm pretty sure the Mets still lead the league in on-base percentage. It's just a matter of driving them in with less than 2 outs. This Mets team has been so different than what we saw in 2021, where the Mets could not hit a lick with 1, runners in scoring position, and 2, with 2 outs as well. They just couldn't do it when they were in a do-or-die situation. The Mets this year are the opposite, to the point where they weren't even hitting enough in May with less than 2 outs. But today they managed to do just that. Took advantage, scored with bases loaded. That's a phenomenal sign. Overall, I'm beyond happy with the Mets and their performance tonight, and hopefully they can carry this over to a victory in the series finale tomorrow, again with Bassett on the bump. So, guys, for people on replay, which is not you right now, this is where I'll be cutting things off. But for people on the live stream, I'm going to start answering all your comments, questions and concerns, your donations, all that great stuff. And again, continue smashing that like and subscribe button if you're live or on replay and you're enjoying this consistent Mets content. But again, for people on replay, this is where I'll be cutting things off.